Well, happy first day of school, everybody. Yep, it's Tuesday and my little minions are gone. Kind of sad, not gonna lie. I cried. I cried. I did okay with Rosie. It was a little bit different when I walked Alex. He was a little bit more nervous and he said his stomach was feeling funny, and I knew that if he has a nervous stomach, and if he threw up, they'd send him home. So I was all nervous for him. So I cried. I cried on the way home. It was really hard. But now I'm back to reality here, house to myself until almost 3 o'clock this afternoon when I pick them up. And I have to do my weekly baking for Jasmine and her wonderful sales meeting. So today we're going to make a quick oatmeal cookie that has chocolate chips in it. However, you could put raisins in it, you could put nuts in it, you could put dates, you could put anything you want in your oatmeal cookie. I just happen to want to do chocolate chips. So that's what we're doing today. So I already have, I'm going to put you down here. I already have the butter, only I melted it a little too much, so I hope that doesn't affect anything. There's my butter. It is 1/2 cup butter, and then 1/2 cup packed brown sugar. My oven is already preheating on 350. So 1/2 cup packed brown sugar, 1/2 cup. This is a real quick and easy recipe, so that's why I chose it. 1/2 cup of regular sugar. I'm going to quickly beat them up until they're smooth. And then we'll add other things. I'll grab an egg out of the fridge. I would love to put some duck eggs into this. My neighbors down the road have ducks, and they have duck eggs, and it's really cool, but not today. They're too big. I only need one, so there we go for the 1 egg. Yep. Usually, to be honest with you, I don't, well, actually not usually, all the time. I never put my eggs straight in there, except I've been doing it for the cooking shows, and I'm realizing I shouldn't be showing you that. I always put my egg in another bowl. I put my egg in another bowl because if you open up your egg and there's something wrong with it and you throw it right in your batter, then you've already ruined all of the ingredients that you've already put in there. So since I've been 20 years old or earlier, I've always opened my egg one at a time in a different bowl and put it in here. I've only been doing to the contrary since the cooking videos for time saving, but I think I'm going to start using my old normal method when I'm cooking for myself so that you can see how good that is. As if you do come upon an egg that's bad and I put it in here, I would have already lost these 2 sugars and the 1/2 cup butter. That's a lot of stuff to throw away. So plus, if you get any shell in it, and you can get it out faster and easier in an individual bowl than if you're digging through these ingredients. So yeah, just a little, I'm going to get back to my old rules on that. So just kind of letting you know that's something I normally do, and I'm a little disappointed with myself for not having done this lately. So 1 egg, 1 teaspoon of vanilla. There we go. There it is, 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And I need a tablespoon of milk. So right here next to us in the fridge is my tablespoon of milk. There we go. I'm going to beat it again. Get it to the right consistency. Can't believe the first day of school is already here. I mean, it's funny. I can vividly remember every one of Danielle and Sonny's first days of school as children. We got pictures of all of them at the door and the whole 9 yards, and I vividly remember everything. And I was that mom that took a picture of them getting on the bus, drove to school ahead of the bus, waited, got a picture of them getting off the bus, and walking them to their classroom, and got the first few pictures in their classroom. So this is kind of a different year where we left them at the door. Not only did we leave them at the door, but they all had to wear masks. So the pictures for this year are going to be quite different than anything that we've seen in years, because people are going to be left at the door and they have masks on. So, okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is, this is one of those more old-fashioned recipes where they say they want you to sift again. So I'm going to put you over here, send you to my bowl and sifter. over here, in the bowl, waiting to be sifted, I'm going to put 1 cup of flour. It's kind of neat to be sifting again because it's been years since I've done this whole technique of sifting, and when we sifted the other day I was like, hey, I used to do this all the time. This sifting was a thing that everybody did back then. 1/2 teaspoon of, it's equal parts, 1/2 teaspoon of soda and 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. And remember, we always put our baking soda in here. Why? I say this almost every time, sorry if I bore you, but baking soda does absorb smells around you, so if you've got it in a spot where it has any other aromas or stuff in your cupboard, it's going to take up those aromas and smells, and you don't want that to happen. So 1/2 cup of baking powder, 1/2 cup of baking soda, equal parts. I mean 1/2 cup, listen to me. Whoa, 1/2 teaspoon. I didn't even know, 1/2 cup. Whew, when it fell down and hit my head, I can't think straight this morning. 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. Here we go. There we are. And 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Now I always pour that over the sink. I always pour my salt over the sink because you know how free salt is in pouring? Sometimes you can accidentally over pour and then it ends up in your bowl. So I always pour it over the sink so that if there's any extra, it goes in the sink and not in my recipe. And so, oops, silly me, silly milly me. While you're pouring it in there to be, you don't want it to go anywhere else. So there you go, put a bowl underneath it so it doesn't automatically start coming through. I should have just put all the ingredients right in the sifter. I don't know what my thought process was. I'd kind of be smarter the way it went, huh? Anyways, so there. I'll put that in there in a minute. But here we go. Again, this wonderful, oh my God, I remember the day that Tim got this for me, found this at a lawn sale, pointed it out, whatever, and I was like, oh my God, look, I haven't had one of those in years. Very little in here. And I can see there's a couple of pieces of baking powder, baking soda there, so I'm breaking them up. There you go. Perfect. And this was sifted just because it was in the sifter, so we're good. Now, what we're going to do is take this, and we're going to put it inside of this part of the recipe and bake it till it's, and not bake it, but not yet baking it. Beat it till it's smooth. So there you go. Yep, you can see that. Putting it in there. And baking. Here we go again. Beating it until it's smooth. I don't know what my words are this morning. Oops, I don't want to go too fast at first. I don't want it to go falling over the side. I love this beater so very, 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 very much. The only thing about it that is a little bit buggy is that it's hard to, unless you take this scraper or whatever you're using off, it's hard to always scrape the sides and stuff. The regular beater, it's easy because you can hit the side of the bowl with your beater and you can do all kinds of stuff to make sure you've got the bottom of the bowl and the sides of the bowl. But in here you kind of have to stop it and do some sort of crazy process like this to get everything correctly. There we go. There we go. Do that again in a minute. Just give me one more minute. There. Now I'm going to take this out because what you're going to add, the only thing left to add, there's 2 things left to add. You need to add, of course, your oatmeal, and I use the quick oatmeal. So I'm going to take this off because we're going to add that by hand and clean it off here as best we can. As we know, I don't usually smack this against here very hard. Everything's very light and because I don't want that porcelain to break off again like it did before. So just cleaning off the paddle a little bit here. Who else had a tough time for first day of school today? I know my friend Elizabeth Studley, it's her son Adam's first day at high school as a freshman. And she said she was more nervous today than she was his first day of kindergarten so many years ago. Send me a note. Show me some pictures. Tell me how you felt. Or were you just relieved to finally have some of the house to yourself for a little bit? I don't know. To me, I've had an empty house since Corona started, so I just started having my grandchildren visit every now and then, which they will be just still visiting. I don't have any more daycare, unfortunately. So when the grandchildren come, they're now just visiting, which makes it a whole different thing, which I think is kind of neat, because when it's just grandma time, it's not all these rules to follow. When it's Nana time, when it's daycare, you have this whole host of rules you have to follow, and when I had the daycare, I definitely followed all those rules for sure. So it's going to be fun to have a different relationship with the kids and have them be here every now and then just to be here. And that'll be fun. That will be fantastic. Where is my... Just a minute, washing my hands. Got the soap out, looking for my towel. There we are. Washing my hands because that was a lot of stuff in my hands. Okay. So, sorry about that. Had to break away. Oatmeal. Quick oatmeal. So, yeah. That bad boy opens right up. 1 cup. And we're going to stir that in. And then we're just going to add about a 1/2 cup of, you can do chocolate chips, you can do M&Ms, you can do a combination of the both. You can do chocolate chip M&Ms, nuts of any sort, pecans, almonds, raisins, cran raisins, anything. These are very fun cookies. I love the taste of them, to be honest with you. They're kind of a chocolate chip cookie, but then again, they're not, because, you know, they have the oatmeal in them. I have 2 or 3 different oatmeal. One of them is called an oatmeal raisin cookie. That one's a good recipe too. It's a little bit like this, but the portions are different. I just thought I would do this one to start with. Just washing my hand again because I got more stuff on it. And then we're going to add some chocolate chips. And we'll come over here and get our pan prepared for baking. So here we go. Chocolate chips, about a 1/2 cup. And this is what it's looking like already. And I hope you can see. Oh yeah, you got this. The farther I put it away, I think the better it is. I'll go like this so you can see the oatmeal in it. So let me go brand new. Oh God, I love breaking into a brand new bag of chocolate chips. Woohoo! It's one of my favorite things to do. And where did that 1/2 cup go? Right here. There's been so many things in this recipe that have been 1/2 cup. Now, I never normally measure chocolate chips. You see me make chocolate chip cookies and a lot of different things. I'm not big on measuring. So if it doesn't look like it has enough, I usually just free pour. So I'm kind of feeling like that might not be enough chocolate chips, but I'll put a little bit of a handful in there, adding more. There we go. So next time I might do mini M&Ms or something with this, because I do love M&Ms, and with the chocolate chips in oatmeal cookies, it's just too much fun. There we go. So let me clean this off for now. Actually, no, I'll leave it in here because I have to, I'm going to bring you over here. Sorry about that. Taping alone, of course, that's what happens. So the next thing is that you Crisco your pan, which is where I'm heading right now to grab it. It's got to be on a greased sheet. I guess you could use the sprays, but I don't, because the spray has the cooking spray that I use, which, as you all know, is this one when I do my cakes and stuff. But it has the flour in it, and you don't need the flour. That's for a cake, needs flour to be able to lift off well. This just needs the... So you could use just Pam that hasn't got anything extra in it, but I've always just used the Crisco. I don't know why. There's no rhyme or reason to it. I suppose you could just sit here and spray this pan and be done so much quicker than me doing this. This is just the way I've done it forever and ever. This doesn't mean you have to do it this way, I suppose. There we go. I'm pushing it back a little bit there, so there's room. So I'm going to put cookies on here in a minute. So we are baking at 350 for 10 to 12 minutes. It's a really quick recipe. It's a really good recipe. You can see good ingredients. I did use the butter in here because it said butter. I can't remember. I know that, remember we talked about doing butter flavor Crisco for the chocolate chip cookies, because in chocolate chip cookie recipe world, butter doesn't hold up well and the cookies are flat. I haven't made these in so long, so I'm not sure if it's the same thing, so we're going to be experimenting and see if that happens. I'm getting out my thing here and this is it. It's as simple as this. So there you go. I'm just going to put a whole plate of them, a whole pile of them down here, one after the other. And then put them in the oven and whoops, don't roll over. Put them in the oven and bake them for 10 to 12 minutes. And that is as easy as this recipe was this morning. So thank you very much for joining me on cookies. I know it seems like I'm not here. I am. What's been happening is I'm still been making a lot of salsas and I made my very first hot salsa. Not super hot, but hot with some heat in it, and I loved it. It was a lot of fun. So I'm getting a little less afraid of the heat, deciding, you know, ooh, it's so exciting to do these kinds of things. And then I just spent the last 2 or 3 days. Saturday we were gone to the horseshoe tournament all day, but yesterday and the day before it was all freezing, all the peppers that were left over. And what I do is I cut them up in, I call them shards, but just, you know, little pieces, that anything you would use in a stir fry, and you put them on cookie sheets and you put them in the freezer until they're just starting to be hard, or overnight or whatever. But if you're doing one batch right after another, about an hour, until they're a little bit hard. And then you bring them back into the house and you can take them, and you know your sealing thing where it takes the air out. That's when you can finally use that machine, because peppers have water in them. So if you don't freeze the water in them, you can't use the sealing bags, because the water will just keep getting sucked out by the machine. But you can use your sealing system in your bags, and all you do is, once you've got them to that frozen state on the cookie sheet, and they need to be not on top of each other. They need to be not touching each other, so you just don't put piles and stuff on the sheet. You just do a flat sheet full, put it in the freezer about an hour, come out. I use the spatula to pick them up off the sheet, and I fill the bag up. And then you put them in your sealing system, and it's perfect. The only thing I found out is that unless you're using a lot of peppers at one time, I've been using my Ziploc bags instead of the sealing system, because I can take as much as I want out of that Ziploc bag and then seal the bag back up and put it back in the freezer. Because that's a lot of peppers at once if you're thinking about it, for any size bag. So you can use your sealing system, your food sealing, your food saver, they call it. The food saver bags is what I have. I don't know what you have. Some are from Cabela's, they're all from different places. But for me, I use a Ziploc bag, just like I do for my cherry tomatoes. This was from Lance Lawyer. He told me last year, and I've been doing it since then. Take your cherry tomatoes, just wash them up. When they're dry, you put them in Ziploc bags, throw them in the freezer. When you're doing your stir-fry soups or whatever, you pull them out. You just take a handful of whatever you want for tomatoes and whatever recipe you're doing, and then you Ziploc the bag, close back up, and stick it back in the freezer. That's what I'm doing with my peppers as well. I'm freezing them in Ziploc bags. Last night I used my first amount in a stir fry, because Joanne Scott had stopped with this enormously huge puffball mushroom they call it. And we were cooking with it last night, and I was like, well, I got to start using some of my peppers because I need it for the puffballs. So I did open up my frozen bag, took a handful out, resealed my bag up, put it back in the freezer. So there's a lot of little things like that I should be telling you about. I'm freezing my tomatoes as well. I just did a whole bunch of them. I wish I'd remembered to have at least a little bit of the video on while I was doing them. But I'll be getting some more so I can show that to you later. I hope you enjoy this cookie recipe, and I will be coming back with something else. Who knows? Bye!